Hello, and welcome to issue 643 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Spoonerita.
And I'm your other host, Cable Hashitani.
And this week, we are joined by the one and only Bill Oakley. How's it going, man?
Hello, it's great. Has it been over 10 years since I've been on this program?
It's only been, well, in COVID years, so yes, it has been a decade.
Okay.
Yeah. No, last
Well, I'm
time we
delighted
had
to be back.
Thank
It
you.
was a
Yeah.
long wait, but it was worth it.
I think it was 2020.
I think it was 2020 because we
That's
were all
about 10 years. Every year is now 5.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think I was on once before then, like 10 years ago. Anyway, never mind. We don't need to get into that. People can look
you
it
know
up.
what? You were.
Mhm.
Because you discussed your enjoyment of malt beverages and which was your favorite.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago. That's lost to the mist of time, I guess. But it was anyway, I'm glad to be back. My home away from home, this program.
Oh, well, thanks. That's really nice to hear. I mean, thankfully, we're using a new app now that will prevent creepy, like, avatar bots to spew horribly racist comments on the feed. Because that was just, I mean, apart from the language, just that avatar was disturbing. I thought it was a real person.
Oh, right. Because where we were broadcasting on YouTube directly, it just, yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah.
On their loop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was not cool at all. But yeah. So you've been keeping pretty busy.
I am. I'm busy. I do keep busy with all sorts of mostly unpaying pursuits, but that's the thing that I do. Like I keep busy to a moderate amount with the stuff that I do, the TV writing.
Right.
But I also have a hobby, which is developing myself into a food personality, a culinary professional in some ways.
I do love, was it the Gordon Ramsay of fast food?
Yes, I didn't even make that up, but I thought it was a pretty apt thing. The thing is, Gordon Ramsay cooks, so I don't really have that facet. I only have the being a critical bastard facet.
I mean, you've never called someone like an idiot sandwich or a donkey yet while reviewing food, so you're a nicer version.
I'm a little bit politer than Gordon Ramsay. Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Have you ever met him? I'm sure you've been asked this before, but have you had a chance to meet him yet?
No, I've never met any famous celebrity chefs. I mean, Kenji Ilpazalt, I guess, is a chef, but he's more of a food personality, a cookbook author, and and so forth. And so he and I have done some events, but he's the most famous food person I've ever met.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think one day someone needs to find that to happen, though.
I'm in favor of that. Yes, I love it.
Take him to your favorite fast food places and see how it goes.
That would be fun. I hear that he does like some of these, many chefs, as it turns out, do like fast food because that's when they go after a rough day in the kitchen, they go to Popeye's drive-through at 1 a.m. or they take the staff to whatever. Like, and I'm talking about chefs. These are some of the famous chefs here in Portland who have told me this. So like, yeah, it's not like there are many people. I mean, obviously they're not a big fan of things like Burger King, but well done fast food, they're fans, and that's actually been a way in which I can kind of insert myself into the community is by biting up to them in that way.
Well, I mean, so many of these foods are they are specially created to be pleasing to as many people as possible.
Right.
I mean, like, say what you want about whatever, like a Big Mac, but when you're craving that, like, there's nothing else that's going to take care of it. Like, nothing.
Yeah, and I think there's opportunity too for chefs, talented chefs, to take those things and spin them off into something that's truly magnificent. Like here in Portland, we have this restaurant called Canard, run by James Beard Award-winning Gabriel Rucker, and one of the most famous things they serve there is this White Castle slider that is basically, it's just like the kind that you get at White Castle, but magnificent. And it's become one of the trademarks of that place. He also makes what he calls a Canarbies. I don't know if it's still on the menu, but it basically was kind of a roast beef and cheddar Arby's style sandwich, which was also, I go there and I know they have all those fun, fancy things like the duck pancakes and stuff, but I just can't, I get so full eating the other stuff, the fast food approximations, that I just like, those are the best things, man.
Yeah. I don't know if you've been to Wedgehead yet here in Portland.
I have not, but I've heard they have some good stuff there.
Their burgers are great. Definitely go in and eat. Their burgers do not, well, like money, things like that. Their burgers and fries don't travel well. They're meant to be eaten like extremely fresh. but they also clearly miss the double-decker taco from Taco Bell. So they have their own version. And first off, it is massive. You get two, and they're not Taco Bell size. They are, if you were to buy your own tortillas at the store, they're huge and delicious.
I got to write this down.
This was worth it just for that reaction face alone.
Because I love it. That's my favorite. That was my favorite Taco Bell thing, and I still can't believe that they got rid of it. Like when they did that whole menu revamp, that thing, they took away that thing and they didn't bring it back, which surprises me because every other thing they're bringing back with the Mexican pizza, like all week long this week it's been, the Mexican pizza's coming back. I had it. I didn't like it very much when I had it, when it was on the menu. But now the nostalgia for it has driven everybody mad. And they're all excited. So I guess I'm going to go try one when it comes back on May 19th. But in any case, the double-decker taco, now that is worth pining for.
Yeah. Well, it was, you're right. It was the greatest thing that Taco Bell had on its menu. I mean, it tasted fantastic. And it was also the only taco they sell that never fell apart on you. So you got a perfect bite every single time.
It was far easier to eat that in the car and while driving than almost any other Taco Bell thing, except for some of the burritos.
Yeah.
That's the Taco Bell thing that is the curse of Taco Bell. Most fast food, many of the fast food items can be eaten in the car while driving. Taco Bell is difficult.
Yeah. If
the Crunchwrap Supreme is pretty good, but once you're at the halfway point, you're at the apex point of that hexagon. That things get a little squidgy right about there, but if you can power through, it starts to narrow down again, and you're safe.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that middle part, it begins to come out at the seams in different spots.
I have eaten many cheesy gorditas crunch in my car. So I'm an expert on that one item.
It's awesome.
Does your car have the residue to show, or is it still clean?
There's probably ancient cheese squiggles in there.
I definitely have little bit lettuce shreds that are at least 9 or 10 years old.
Yeah, you
Taco Bell in there.
You lift a floor mat and you're like, oh, there it is.
Yep, and it's 90% Taco Bell.
Yeah,
any other.
And yet your car does not smell like rotten food.
Yeah, it's true.
I try not to think about that too much.
So this is a neat little car hack if you guys ever need it. When I worked at Zipcar and we had a smell that you could not get out of a car with all the sprays, our trick was to always get McDonald's French fries and then leave them in the car for like an hour. So the car would smell like French fries for a while, but no one really complains about that because French fries smell amazing. And it was still able to then somehow overpower and remove any aroma floating around in the car.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Impressive, but gross.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky, but that was we'd have the ozone sprays and everything. And if you still didn't come out, you're like, all right, I got to swing by McDonald's. So it was always good to turn in receipts to your boss because we got paid back for everything we had to do out, for whatever.
Sure.
It was always good to hand them at the end of the week, a handful of McDonald's receipts that just have medium fry. Because the medium fry is the only size that fits perfectly in the cup holder.
This is really well thought out.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's so why do you think fast food gets a really bad rap? I'm just jumping around here, but
just to be very clear, it has a huge number of problems. Fast food, the fast food industry, everybody knows it's nutritionally, most fast food is nutritionally awful. Okay, that it's bad for you. But I'm not telling people to eat fast food once a week. That's okay. One fast food meal a week is fine. 3 fast food meals a day, that's bad. But so that's one thing. So there's nutrition. Then there's the sustainability issues, the factory farming and all that stuff. That's also bad. And then thirdly, we have the labor situation. Now, the labor situation is still bad in many ways because of the lack of unions, although now we're getting them at some places, including some of the Burgerville locations or Portland. But one of the consequences of the extremely low unemployment that we've had during this pandemic and so forth is that the wages have gone up. That most of these fast food places, at least the ones I see, are offering $14, $15, $15 an hour or more to their workers, which is about double what the workers were getting before the pandemic. So that's a somewhat bright side of that. So fast food, the reputation, Now there's also a whole bunch of cultural issues that are all extremely explosive about fast food as well that Donald Trump embodies that you don't even want to get into. But Donald, this is one thing. I don't know if you have a lot of Trump supporters listening tonight. I don't think they're going to want to hear this.
No, we've chased them all. Yeah, no, they're
okay.
Yeah.
Donald Trump doesn't really like fast food. What he is, he's afraid of being poisoned. And that's one of the reasons it's for decades. This is if you read about Donald Trump, his biographies. It's like, well, I mean, sure, he likes fast food, but he wants food that people don't, he has someone go get the food for him. And the people who made it don't know where it's going because he's had for decades a fear of being poisoned by people who didn't like him. So that's why he likes to get pre-made food. Now, he doesn't like it enough to know anything about it. He says his favorite thing is the fish deluxe from McDonald's. There's no such thing as a fish deluxe from McDonald's.
Right.
You know, he's got a lot of others. Just like he said, on many occasions he said, "I love country music." I'd like somebody to ask him, name one country music song of any kind from any decade that you like. That way he wouldn't be able to do it. Fast food is the same thing. He uses it to seem like he's a regular guy when in fact he's probably one of the least regular guys that have ever held office in America.
Right.
So it's a ruse that makes me. I actually wrote an article. Anybody who has enough time to waste can Google the article I wrote for New York Magazine Vulture about this. I was like, don't blame fast food on Donald Trump. You know, it's like Donald Trump he's not representative of the kind of people who like fast food in general. He's an embarrassment to those of us who like it. Yeah.
I had no idea about the poisoning part.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's apparently the fact is that's the principal reason. And then he only likes to get that or he dines in his own restaurants, you know?
Right. Man. Okay, that adds a lot. That's also this. I was about to make the joke that's very Tsarist Russia of him because the Tsars, that's why they had so many tasters because they were also always getting poisoned. So
I think it's extremely in keeping with what we know about his personality.
Yeah. So let's run over to, so like a week ago, you officially kicked off the Steam Ham Society and Food Discovery Club.
Yes.
So,
well, first of all, I'm going to say this multiple times throughout this broadcast, steamedhamssociety.com, hams plural. Go there if you want to check it out. Now, what this is, it's a club. It's a Patreon. I think it's somewhat different than many Patreons in that it's kind of a club. For food, the headline is it's a club for food enjoyers, food enthusiasts worldwide, people who are interested in stuff. And it's basically the kind of stuff, if you follow me on Instagram or even on Twitter, you know that I'm a food enthusiast, fast food, but also snack food, frozen food, regional stuff, pizzas from all over America, barbecue, all that kind of stuff. I like to talk about it. So this is a club for like-minded people. And we have a lot of different types of stuff going on in the club. Like there's at the lowest tier, we have this Discord, which is taken. I had no idea the Discord was going to be such a big deal, but it's blazing night and day with talk about, different types of barbecue recipes and beef jerkies and all these various coated almonds and crap. I can't go on. Tons of stuff all the time. There's a torrent of advice, people going back and forth. And it's very exciting to see this community already coming to life after a week. So there's also stuff. There's going to be like a monthly kind of newsletter type thing about the stuff that I write about stuff. My recommendations. There's going to be a live stream. There's also going to be merchandise with the logo of the society, stickers, T-shirts, and then at the highest level, which is only for really rich people with a lot of disposable income, is a thing where I mail you every month, every quarter. I'll mail you a box filled with like the 4 or 5 best things I found during that time. That requires a lot of time and effort on my part, so that's why it's expensive and there's a limited number of people on that tier. Anyway. So I encourage anybody with any interest in that type of thing to sign up or at least check it out at steamedhamssociety.com. I still continue to do all the same stuff I normally do for free on my Instagram, but this is another level of that. And lastly, this is very exciting to me, is that we're going to start having secret menu items, either discounts or secret menu items at various dining places for members of the Steamed Ham Society.
Oh, man.
And I put up a video today demonstrating actually at JoJo, one of my favorite places in Portland, the JoJo food cart, them sort of demonstrating how this works. But like, there's going to every couple of weeks, hopefully a lot in Portland, but hopefully in other cities starting soon. I have some other cities already online for this. That a place people go and you see the Steamed Ham Society sticker on the establishment, and this place is like-minded. They'll have a secret menu item. At the very least, they'll give you a discount, but more likely they'll have a secret menu item that nobody else can have. That's only for the members of the society. I think that seems like fun, and hopefully this is going to be, ideally, this will be one of those things like Oprah's favorite things, where I can move the market. I can say I can enlist the 100,000 members of the Steamed Ham Society to bring back the double-decker taco.
Yeah.
Or I can bring the let's say the Reese's peanut butter cup with potato chips inside to massive national significance because it's so good.
So good.
Where that kind of thing, I can hopefully I can be able to move mountains with my giant cult of food lovers someday. That's down the road, but it's only a weekend, so far so good.
So hopefully many years from now, not only will you strive to become a Michelin-starred restaurant, you will strive to become a steamy or whatever,
Right, a member of the SHS. I think that's actually very valid because people who are gourmets have the Zagat guide and the Michelin stars, but people who don't eat at that type of restaurant a lot, what I'd say more comfort food likers, don't have that, and that's what this is, or will be.
That's awesome.
I really enjoy the idea that you will eventually take over the world through fast food.
I enjoy it too. I hope that it comes to that, or at the very least, I can move some. I can become influential enough to move the markets. Where I can stock. That's a good idea. In fact, I should invest. I should start getting insider trading stock things, and then I give something a bad review, and I shorted the stock.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't be talking about this on a recording, but it is a good idea.
Only senators can get away with it.
Yeah.
So much like
right.
Martha Stewart, they would throw you in the hoosegow for this one.
It's not a new idea. It's certainly already being done.
So, and you also mentioned you do a lot of snack foods too. So I love watching. I mean, I love your fast food reviews, but I get really excited when you get various snacks sent to you in the mail and whatnot. A lot of them because I want to try it, and also some of them because I've had them, and this sounds so dorky. I get excited for you to try it. It's like, oh my god.
I think that's part of the fun. There's some sort of intangible aspect to this that people like. This is what's happening in the Steamed Ham Society Discord mainly. Is there a lot of like, oh, you've got to try this, and then I order it on Amazon, and then we can convene a discussion of it.
Yeah. Like there was I think you were sent this some time ago, but it got limited release here in America. I think it was like the Vietnamese prawn Pringle. Or like the Korean barbecue Pringle. And I had that when I was in Tokyo years ago, and it just blew me away. So when I saw it here, I was like, fantastic. He's going to get to try this one.
I'm sure you're right. The one that I recall most is the Hokkaido scallop Pringles, which I think I actually have one here. I have a couple of these.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'd have to see the art again. That's kind of.
I actually have it right here. I have several Japanese Pringles right here. This one is the cream soup one, but I'm pretty sure I have a Hokkaido scallop one here. There's so many Asian potato chips. There's so many seafood flavors of them that we don't have any seafood chips here to my knowledge. No. Even like the crab chips that that I love, being with Maryland, or that's the Old Bay seasoning, that there's no fish or crab taste in it whatsoever.
Yeah, why do you think, and this is a huge generality, but why is American snack food kind of boring? I mean, I feel like we just go salt, sugar, and that's it.
I'm actually in the midst of writing a book proposal about snacks, and believe it or not, it has 42 chapters, and this topic comes up repeatedly within the 42 chapters of the book. Is why does every other country have more interesting types of snack food than we do? And there's a number of different reasons to this. That people have written books about this topic. Like in Canada, they're very proud of their unusual flavors of potato chips and all that kind of stuff. Whereas here in America, the number one best-selling potato chip is plain. And some people have chalked this up to like, the thing is, how much time do you want to spend on this topic? I can go on for an hour.
Go for it. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay. A professor in Canada wrote a book called Snacks, A Canadian History. And it's a history, and her theory, but it's only kind of based on the northern U.S., is that like the Canadian immigrants are people mainly from Eastern Europe who like vinegar and pickle and things like that, like a spicy, tangier type of stuff. That's why they have all dressed chips in Canada. Whereas people in the U.S., at least in the upper Midwest, tend to be people from from Sweden, Norway, Finland, and they prefer things that are creamier, like sour cream, which is why sour cream and onion chips are so big south of the Canadian border, but nobody really cares about them north of the Canadian border. They want spicier chips, tangier chips. That's one theory. Now that doesn't account for the fact that most Americans are not from Sweden or Norway or Finland. We have lots of demographic diversity here, but I think those are covered by smaller. The thing is, honestly, those flavors are covered by smaller regional chip places like Zapp's Chips from New Orleans has a lot of delicious flavors. And potato chips are one of the few things that we still have that's almost, because they're hard to ship and package without them breaking. Only Frito-Lay really does that, and a couple other brands. Most of them are many regional chip brands that, that all over the country we still have, I don't know, hundreds of them. Anyway, that being said, I think there's not a huge market. That's why Lay's is not doing things like all dressed chips, or whereas smaller brands are. And I think the thing is, it's partly because it's such a giant country. Shipping stuff is hard. Shipping potato chips is very easy between different parts of Germany or whatever. Whereas here, it's immense. You got to ship your chips across the country. They're going to break. So you can't take a risk on something that only a few people are going to like, I think is the general theory behind this.
I mean, that part makes sense. That totally makes sense, which is why I'm so grateful for places like H Mart and, Ujimaya, where I can find those chips,
It is weird that some brands will roll out every now and then unique to us flavors of chips. There has to be demand, right? I always assume that they're like, oh, we're gonna do it, but just for a little while because they know it doesn't make them any money. I'm just surprised that it doesn't make them any money. I feel like there's a lot of demand or interest, at least, in the market for more interesting flavors.
I would love to find out more about that. I think there is, but I think it's in a certain segment of the population. That I think that probably 80% of the population doesn't care. And I think 20% does. And catering to that 80 is very profitable. And they're leaving the 20% to more niche places. And there's plenty of niche artisan places making potato chips, candies, whatever. And I think that the large makers have decided to just cater to the other 80%. That's my theory.
Right.
That's a solid theory.
That does make a lot of sense. So is there a chip that, like a US domestic chip that like the flavor's been discontinued and you'd like to see it come back?
Well, not to harp on this again, but the Canadian all dressed flavor. Okay. For people who don't know what all dressed is, it's a flavor that was invented in Canada in the 60s. And it's a combination of barbecue, salt and vinegar, and ketchup flavor, which ketchup chips are another thing in Canada. Some flavors have sour cream and onion. All dressed basically means with the works, something like that. It basically means everything on it.
All dressed is my wife's favorite flavor. So yeah.
Your wife has good taste. So that's a flavor. That's a huge flavor in Canada. Here in America, we have nothing like it. Ruffles brought out about 4 years ago, all dressed chips. And they had to a lot of commercials had a lot of funny Canadian Bob and Doug McKenzie type stuff in it to make people be like, oh, it's Canadian. Canadians love this crazy chip flavor. Those were so good. Those are my favorite American chip of all time. Then they vanished during the pandemic. They were gone for a long time. Then they came back briefly. Now they seem to be gone again. So that's the flavor. If I could pick one flavor of potato chips in America that I love the best, that would be it. All dressed. It's an import, but still, I like that the best. As far as other flavors go, I don't know. I don't really like. I like the Zapp's all Voodoo, which is very much like an all dressed. I don't like the texture of Zapp's though. I prefer a rough. Honestly, in sorting this out, I decided that I like ruffled chips better than any other texture of chips. But a lot of people like kettle chips. They're not going to like my chapter in the book about why kettle chips suck. So that's the whole.
Oh, now I have to know. You are right about Ruffles. I think they're a better flavor delivery. The nature of them is more enjoyable on the palate. And even if you have a plain one, those Ruffles are just thick enough to hold up to almost any kind of dip also.
Bingo.
Well, what's the kettle chip thing? Unless you're saving it for the book.
Oh, I just don't like the texture. I don't like the texture of kettle chips. I think they're too hard and I think they're too sharp. And this came up briefly on Twitter about 2 weeks ago, and it's a very polarizing topic. And everybody is like, babies, you're a baby, you have soft mouth, you can't eat hard food, blah, blah, blah. It's like mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is another topic that when it comes up on Twitter, people go nuts because there's a lot of mayonnaise haters out there who really hate mayonnaise. And so it's a very polarizing topic as well. And it's the same with the kettle chips. I personally will not kettle chips brand necessarily. I mean the kettle chips as a style. I think they're too sharp, and I don't enjoy eating them. As opposed to Ruffles, which I like, or Pringles, which are fine, or even regular ones in a pinch. But I don't think the texture. I don't like eating stuff that's like Captain Crunch is another thing where when you eat Captain Crunch, it scrapes up the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
And a lot of people find that they enjoy that aspect of it. I do not. I don't seek out things that scrape up the roof of my mouth.
I can actually feel the Captain Crunch film on my mouth right now, even though I haven't had a bowl in years. You're like, oh God. Speaking of mayonnaise, and I'm amazed we have not brought this up to you yet, but for quite some time now, the three of us on this show have talked about doing essentially a mayonnaise competition, but slowly based it on which one makes the best egg salad sandwich. So,
that's a good idea.
Simple ingredients. We go white bread, hard-boiled eggs, and then the mayonnaise. Like nothing else that can be altered by the flavor. And we set 2 hard-boiled eggs, whatever, a tablespoon and a half of mayo, like set standards for it. And then we get all of them. We get Best Foods, we get Duke's, we get QB, some other regional ones, and even then like a store generic one or whatever. And then we do the blind taste test about which makes the superior egg salad sandwich.
I think that's a great idea because I was part of a taste test panel for mayonnaise for Portland Monthly. You may have seen this online if you read Portland Food News. It was about 4 months ago. There was a Portland Monthly for some reason decided to do a ranking of mayonnaises, and they had me and about 8 other food types ranked mayonnaise. But we ate them like I dipped the pretzel sticks in the mayonnaise and the taste of mayonnaise, which I think is not necessarily the same way it would be in an egg salad. And I feel like using because what I've discovered is that many of my choices that I made while eating the mayonnaise on pretzels, they're not the same as the ones that I have on my sandwich. I like different mayonnaises on sandwiches than I did on the pretzels.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think our egg salad thing came from a discussion of why Japanese convenience stores have the greatest egg sandwiches in the world.
Yes. Have you had that one? There's one, I think you can get a couple of those locally. There's ones with that hard-boiled egg cut in half in the middle of them.
Yeah, Tokyo Sando part.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Soft boiled, so the yolk is all gooey.
Oh yeah. It is soft boiled. That's right. It looks amazing. I haven't been over there yet. That's near PSU, right? I never get up there.
I want to say
Third. There's the food cart's on Third. It is right across the street from something big. I just never look up there.
And I want to say they're talking about moving their location, but they could still be there. Denise and I have been there a few times after our exercise walk. We would then scarf down some of the Tokyo Sandos. And I think they only use the milk bread also, which helps a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tokyo Sando is in Southwest. There you go. Southwest 3rd, it says.
2nd is what I'm seeing.
Yep.
I had it wrong before.
321 Southwest 2nd.
There you go.
This
is
not brought to you by Tokyo Sando.
I mean, it could be if you're out there, Tokyo Sando dude.
You could pay us in sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you ever received a snack food that when you saw it, you thought this is going to be nasty, and you ended up loving it, and then the exact opposite also, something you thought like this is going to be my wheelhouse, and it was just didn't do it for you?
Absolutely. Let me think. What did I think? I should have a database or something like this. I can't draw it out of my memory banks as quickly as I would like to. I will tell you that, yes, this year there was a category in the Steamies for surprisingly good. One of which was the Chuck E. Cheese frozen pizza, which you would think would be terrible, but was actually a very good kind of regular, extremely regular pizza.
I remember your review for that. Yeah.
I was shocked that I enjoyed
Yeah.
it so much. There must be something in the whatever they make it with. It's better than your average frozen pizza by quite some margin. But don't think it's going to be anything fancy. There are a few other things like that. Oh yeah, I'll tell you what I didn't like: Wendy's Baconator Pringles. That was people. I was insistent. People were insistent that I was going to love these Wendy's Baconator Pringles, and they tasted like just pure chemicals. They tasted nothing like bacon,
Right.
or blech. I didn't like those at all. They were a huge disappointment. Let's see. I've also today, anybody checking out today, my Instagram will see my enormous, I don't know why I did this exhaustive survey of those Kraft macaroni and cheese add-ons, the flavor boosts. Like everybody, I tried all the American ones and all the Canadian ones. And I will say that I was shocked. I thought I was going to love, to answer your question, I thought I was going to love the poutine flavored macaroni and cheese, but it sucked. So that was a shocking development. What else? Lay's numb and spicy hot pot potato chips from that Asian World Market, Asian Family Market in Beaverton. Those those are some of the best potato chips I ever had. The flavor on them is so intense and it's so unusual. I feel like I don't like it when there's too much of an intense, rich seafood flavor, but this has just the perfect combination of flavors.
Nice. Well, the one I would recommend, if you can ever hunt them down, they will randomly appear in my local H Mart. They're Cheetos from Japan, and it's the barbecue chicken Cheeto and the grilled steak Cheeto. And I fell in love with them because at the 7-Elevens in Tokyo, there's a 7-Eleven brand of these corn chip spirals. One is cheddar, one is like beef ramen. And they are still one of the greatest chips I've ever had in my life. Last time we were in Tokyo, my wife and I literally brought an empty suitcase so we could only fill it with these chips from 7-Eleven. And these two Cheetos get really close to it.
That's exciting. Wait, so and they can be found at Asian markets here?
I have found them in H Marts, and they're not the big bags. They're basically like we would consider like our sandwich size, but you know, we're also gluttons, so that's probably the standard size.
The big H Mart in Portland is on Belmont, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right across from where the Nerd Out used to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's in the place that Zupans used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it used to be Zupans.
Yeah.
I like that place. I go over there too. It's with the walking distance from me, and I like to go over there and check out the various chips and things from time to time. And also, I've been making a lot of stuff in my wok. As Kenji Lopez Alt's wok book has introduced me to the world of the wok, so I've been going over there for my light soy sauce and my Shaoxing Chinese cooking wine.
Man, even though I did eat, this is making me hungry again.
I have one bag of Old Dutch all dressed chips I was recently in Vancouver. It's just right over there, and I really want to be eating all dressed chips right now. So thanks for that. We have a question from the listeners. Norm from Texas would like to know if you've ever been to a Buc-ee's or an HEB. Both are in Texas.
I have not been to either, but I have heard stuff about them. Two things. Buc-ee's is one of the places, like of the top 5 places I want to go that I've ever been to. One is Culver's, which I've never been to, but the other one is Buc-ee's. I've seen so much great stuff. People send me the photos of the stuff that's available at Buc-ee's, and also it just seems like a huge oasis of all sorts of incredible stuff. HEB, I have not personally been to, but I have a friend, Instagram friend in Texas, who tends to send me stuff from HEB fairly frequently. So I've tried a number of their unusual stuff, and it's top notch. I have not yet tried their crazy new potato chip flavors, the vanilla ice cream one. They have a couple of new potato chip flavors that have been making the rounds on the internet, and I'm eager to try those. But the answer to the question is no, I've never been to those places. I'm dying to go to both.
I have been to a Buc-ee's, and they are overwhelming. And you have to keep telling yourself that they're still essentially a gas station.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. No. It was very overwhelming, but also pretty damn cool. It was a lot of fun to be there.
I haven't been anywhere outside of Oregon and Washington in a long time. I guess I was I did Las Vegas on a trip, yes, but there's no Buc-ee's there.
So is there like a snack or a fast food that they claim haven't changed, but it's clearly been altered.
You know, I don't know that they claim anything has been changed, but Fritos. I don't like Fritos anymore, and I used to love them. And I think they probably admit they've been changed. There's something, and I have some friends who are talking about this. It seems like I believe a number of chips that were made with unhealthier oils, like hydrogenated fats, were somehow made healthier about 15 years ago, and they lost their deliciousness. And I would say of the ones that I have tried, Fritos are the most egregious in that, because I remember being able to just sit down and like eat Fritos out of the bag for a long time and really enjoying it. Now I eat like 3 or 4 and I'm like, bleh.
You know what? That is true. I used to like crush Fritos, and now I'm like, nah. I mean, unless I'm like dumping chili in them, you know.
I think you check it out when you try it. I bet you. I mean, it's been a long time since people don't go eat Fritos. This is another chapter of my book. Fritos used to be the thing in the 60s. Like Fritos were the master chip, and Doritos was like the freaky chip that nobody liked. And then over the past 50 years, the marketing has gradually changed. Like Doritos sponsors the Super Bowl. Doritos is so hip. It's so happening. It's so cool. And Fritos has been relegated to being like the chip that grandparents buy for their parties when they have other grandparents over for bridge, or whatever.
Yeah. It's only sustained by Frito pies at fairgrounds.
No,
I do love a Frito pie.
Doritos, cheese Doritos used to smell like feet, and I hated them. And now I find them delicious.
Yeah. The one for me, and I will sound like a complete conspiracy wacko for this one. I am convinced, because I still like them, but I used to love the Totino's party pizzas with like, they basically turned into like cracker when you baked them. They were super crispy.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to other people that share my obsession, and we are all convinced that when they went from round to square, they did something to the recipe, because they are no longer as good and addicting as they used to be. And it's no way that my palate got more refined. If anything, it got trashier.
Wow. I don't even remember when they were round. They were round. How long ago was it that they were round?
About 6 years ago. And they switched to square. Yeah.
I have to look that up, because I have only been eating them since they're squared. I don't think they're all that great, but like I'd be curious to know what they were like in the old days.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're great. I just adore them. Like that's my one most guiltiest. That, and it's embarrassing, even though I love good fried chicken, I kind of love frozen banquet chicken. I
like that too. I haven't had it in a while, but I remember like TV dinner chicken has a certain weird greasiness and a certain texture that like I really loved as a kid. And maybe I should go out and get one of those dinners, like the Hungry Man dinner. Banquet is the gold standard of that stuff, though.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get like the Hungry Man XXL.
Yes.
With the brownie that bakes up while you're...
That's right.
Yep.
If you get real lucky with a little bit of corn, will fall into it. Gives you your brownie some texture. So the Steam Ham Society, you launched just this week?
Yes. I guess it was 8 days ago now.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's fun. Anyway, I hope that anybody who's interested in that, check it out. It'll I believe it will be worth the money.
Nice. Norm, or his name is Homicidal Fire Cow. He is still angry when chicken nuggets went to all white meat.
When was that? I don't even remember that. I thought weren't they always all white? Well, they're slurry. I mean, McDonald's chicken nuggets. Right. You can look it up online, and they show, like, they're not proud of it, but there is a video of that they did on some TV show about the McNugget manufacturing process. And did it go to all white meat? I feel like the slurry was composed of both when I saw the video, but it's possible that I wasn't paying close enough attention.
Yeah, I think they started talking about how they became an all white meat, and it definitely lost some flavor when that happened.
It's interesting. I would say until I started paying attention to cooking and food, which was only about 5 years ago, I was also a person who only liked, I was always about all white meat. And because I discussed this with one of the guy that I've been online with, kind of a friend, is the guy who used to be the head chef for McDonald's. And we had a discussion about chicken thighs versus white meat. And chicken thighs even though they're better, most of the really good chicken sandwiches are maybe with thighs, like, or at least ones that you make or get at a restaurant. But people are afraid of thighs. This is what I was like. I understand why people, because it always looks like it's not properly cooked when you eat a thigh or you have a chicken thigh, and so people like are weirded out by that. And the white meat always looks like it's much more sanitary because it's all uniform, and thighs do not have that. Even though they taste better, they're frightening to people who don't cook. And I was one of those people until about 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's even trickier when you have to explain to them that some of that dark red you see around the bone is not mean it's undercooked. That is what happens to the that is what happens to the proteins when they get hot. They turn into this dark brown color. So your thigh is done when it looks that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
But as far as ground up thighs, I mean, I don't know. Like, that seems like it would be good. I don't know why they wouldn't. Maybe it's more expensive.
Maybe. I mean, it is technically a smaller part, especially with less than ethical, chicken raising techniques. They're just pumping it full of hormones, so the breasts are massive.
Yes, that's probably true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot less work for more meat to get the breast, meat, to get the white meat off.
Yeah. But it's but the thigh is definitely the best one to cook with. Also, it can take a crazy amount of heat, and they're not going to go dry. If you dry out a chicken thigh, you've done something. You had to work at it.
You walked away from the kitchen for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Bill, man, we can't keep you the whole time, but it was really awesome to have you on. And
thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think, if you're interested, if we pull off this egg salad sandwich challenge, we'll hit you up if you want to be one of the judges, so we can finally put to rest the best male for egg salad sandwiches.
I would be honored, and I would love it. I would love to try that. I would love to see if it flies in the face of my previous mayonnaise judgments, because I do think that that is going to be a totally different game than just eating mayonnaise on little pretzel sticks.
Yeah, no, it'll be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah,
totally.
And I'm sure we'll get lots of opinions on that one. But
let me just make sure you got to try. Just make sure that you get in the mix. Make sure to have Blue Plate, which I believe is in some ways superior to Duke's, although not everybody agrees. And Kraft Real Mayonnaise, which was the one that I liked best from that survey, which I'd never eaten before. So when you do this, just make sure to have those two in the mix, as well as the standards. Your Best Foods and your Dukes and so forth, and your QP.
Yeah. The one that surprised me was when Heinz introduced the olive oil mayonnaise. I didn't think it would be as good as it was. So that's another little random dark. It's surprisingly good, and it's it's as good for you as mayonnaise can be. So
excellent.
Well, that sounds great, man. Yeah, we'll definitely hit you up as we get closer to that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I look forward to it. I can't wait. I'm wanting an egg salad sandwich right now, and I haven't wanted one for 7 or 8 years, probably. So I'm excited at the prospect of this.
Nice. I'm glad we could help. Well, Bill, thank you so much. And the site is the Steamed Hams Society, and you can also, you're just at Bill Oakley everywhere, right? Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, that Bill Oakley. Yes.
That Bill Oakley. Sorry. Yeah. Well, man, it was great to have you on, and we'll connect again soon here.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Take care. Good night. Bye. There it goes. Melon does make it trickier to leave.
It does.
I was like, Bill, you're supposed to go now.
He's a pro. He's better at this than we are.
Yep. He has to appear on TV more often.
Yeah. He does. Yeah. I didn't get to bring up like various sodas. It caught me looking down.
Oh man,
types of cola.
Like we could have spent so much more time on any one of the topics that we talked about tonight.
I want this book to happen.
So we could arguably have him on as a guest for an entire month and still not cover every single topic that we would normally cover with him about food. So
yeah, and this isn't even bringing up The Simpsons. Or Disenchanted, or all the shows that he does. Like, no, we're just talking about food.
That's old hat.
One, you can tell he clearly loves all of it, but one's a passion project for fun. That always makes it more interesting. Because I was going to bring up my favorite Pepsi product that is never coming back, and most people don't even remember it, which was Pepsi Holiday Spice.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, it came out like in 2004 around Thanksgiving. Because it was a mix of basically Pepsi and this drink that they serve in like Norway and Sweden, like all the Nordic countries, called julmust, which I love it. It is so good. I think Christian likes it. I think when he discovered it, he got excited too. When I was in Sweden, our friend Anna was surprised. She was like, "Oh, it's a very Swedish flavor. You're not going to like it." I wound up loving it, and I think it's because julmust tastes a lot like your mash when you're making a beer, with all the sugars extracted from the grains, and that flavor. That's the primary flavor of julmust, and then they put other like star anise and clove and nice spices, and that's what Pepsi Holiday Spice was, and I miss it. And the drink was like bright red too. It was really cool. Yeah, so
yeah, I've never had it, but it sounds good. I like those weirder and more savory sodas, or spiced. I should say not spicy, spiced.
Yeah,
sodas. So
that's why it was so cool to tour the Coca-Cola factory all those years ago, because at the end of the tour, you get to try every single flavor they make globally in their tasting room. Oh man!
Wow!
Some of the Fantas from India are just to die for.
Ooh, what kind of flavors do they have in India?
There's like a mango and coconut Fanta. I don't even know if they still make it. They may be discontinued, but some of the India flavors of Fanta were just amazing. And then my other little guilty one is many, many years ago, the Safeway soda brand, and it was only Safeway. They made a soda that tasted like red vines. It was dangerous. I was realizing, like, I'm killing a 2-liter of this every day. I have to not drink this anymore.
That's a lot of soda.
Bean's going to have to actually fan herself. She's like,
I'm like, what? I'm kind of picturing like a strawberry Fanta, but that's too bright and sweet.
Yeah,
compared to a red vine.
I
have to have this.
I think they just called it red licorice because red vine is. Now I wonder if it still exists somewhere.
Now, if you told me that you had found a soda that tasted like red Australian licorice, I would walk out the door right now.
In search of?
Yes.
It would become your quest. Where's Bean questing?
Yes. Questing.
Oh man, so now I'm just trying to find it again. Anyway, that's right. Whoa, there's a Dr. Pepper gummy flavored soda. That's weird. Anyway, that was it. That was the thing.
I would understand a Dr. Pepper soda flavored gummy, but what is a Dr. Pepper gummy flavored soda?
I don't know. Is it soda that just has an extra wax flavor to it?
I mean, I think Dr. Pepper is a flavor of jelly bean, so I bet you there are other candies that are Dr. Pepper flavored.
See, I feel like we should have kept Bill on.
But why would you? Yeah, no kidding.
You're the one who let him leave. We're not done here. Oh
my god. We don't want to be greedy.
Yeah, whenever we don't agree on a time ahead of time, I always I don't know. I always feel like, okay, I got to give them an out if they want,
Yeah, that was a solid 45 minutes. Man.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah, we can't.
He would have. It's fine.
Yeah.
No, I get that there are Dr. Pepper flavored candies, but that means they are still flavored after the soda Dr. Pepper. So why would you then have a Dr. Pepper flavored candy flavored soda?
Because when you give candy. When a candy is imitating a flavor of something else, it's not exactly the same. It's candy that is imitating that flavor. And so now the soda is imitating the imitation of the imitation. It's twice removed from the original flavor.
Why? Why would you do that?
Why not? Oh my God. You know what? I learned the weirdest thing that's like moderately relevant to this conversation. How do you guys feel about banana flavored candy?
Like, I enjoy it, but I also know it is not the flavor of banana because it's the
Ah.
flavor of something else.
No.
I
I know
No.
this. I know
It
this.
is
Bean. Go
it
ahead.
is the flavor of a variety of a banana that has since become extinct.
which is what I was going to say, but I didn't
Oh.
want to step on your thunder.
Thanks.
Oh.
Because
Yeah,
I'm very pleased by well, not
Yeah.
pleased, but like tickled by this knowledge.
Yeah, don't be terribly surprised, but I learned this from Merrick, who is a fount of strange and unusual facts.
That scans.
Yeah.
And I just know it because I think I'm a little bit like Merrick, where I'm like, I wonder why. And then I was like, well, 3 hours later, you know. Do you know Vin Diesel had a twin? Has a twin?
But yes,
it's like how Twinkies used to be banana cream flavored. The cream used to be banana cream. And they phased it out during World War II because all the bananas were going to troops and food overseas. And so that's when Twinkies switched to the cream filling we know now, because no one really complained about it. And they're like, well, this is cheaper and people are still buying Twinkies. So why are we spending the extra money to create banana cream filling?
Oh, Norm is talking about cheer wine.
I like cheer wine.
Yes. It's very delicious. And a little bit Dr. Pepper-esque.
Little bit.
A little sweeter, not as spiced. But
Mhm.
that's a fun one. That's hard to find too. My mother-in-law used to ship it up to us sometimes because she can get it when she lives.
It's hard to find here.
Where did she like the town in California that she was living in had like one of those old-timey candy shops in that they had a huge variety of like out of fashion candy and other novelties. And so like cheer wine just sitting right there. It probably is more prominent in the South though.
You can get it here. I know Belmont Station and a lot of the bottle shops will have it.
That's not terribly shocking.
And then there's that in downtown, there's that Rocket Fizz candy store, which has somehow been able to stay open.
Everybody likes
Whatever.
candy.
That's
I
fine.
don't know.
Like all
Casting
the
dispersions
Russian
on the
furniture
fourth
stores
villager.
out in Lentz. Yeah, they're selling a bunch of furniture, I'm sure.
No, we don't talk about those.
No, we
not
don't.
talk about those.
All the furniture has dust. But
Stop talking about those. Do you want the this is how you get the tracksuit mafia.
That's fair.
Bro, why are you talking about on the show, bro?
Yeah. The other thing, Bill didn't bring it up, but I tried this when he got a review of it, of putting salted peanuts in your Coca-Cola.
In your Coca? No, like...
Yeah, drink a little bit of Coke and then put some salted peanuts in there. It's actually really good because you get that little bit of salt and a little bit of that nutty flavor, and it mixes really well with Coca-Cola. So
I never would have thought of that, but it scans.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there it is. Let's see. We should plan.
We want to ask what else is on the show.
Yeah, but we're an hour into it now, so.
Well, I think the other thing that we have is the next 2 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender from season 2. Those would be episodes 5 and 6. Although before we go further, anyone who is listening to this show that has not gone out and see it, go watch everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah.
Do yourself a fucking favor. Go watch this movie.
Yes.
I 100% endorse it. You can send me DMs afterwards and we can talk about it. It's fine.
That movie wrecked me.
I think we can try and talk about it next Tuesday.
Have you seen it yet? You haven't seen it yet.
We have it in our calendar for Thursday.
Cool.
As people have now realized, the last few weeks for Jen and I have been completely crazy and busy because in addition to me launching a book, like, my God, 3 weeks ago, we also bought a house. We got to buy Porchland. We've lived here for 10 years. And about a month ago, our landlord, thank you, sent us sent us an email saying, "You've been great tenants, but we need to move on. Like, we're not able to, so they're both well into retirement years, and I think the sale of this house is basically what's going to sustain them, kind of thing. They're like, we're going to give you plenty of time to find a new place, and we will make sure you get everything back and write you a glowing review. And we were like, well, crap. We didn't want to break up the band because, we love our neighbor Gedman above us. And also, have you seen rent in Portland? Especially if you still want to live within the city, which all of us very much do. So Jen is a rock star. Within 48 hours, we had an offer in, and they accepted it, and we were able to keep this house off the market. And as of yesterday, we, along with the bank, own this house. So, yay! Thank you.
That's
long
awesome.
way to say we're seeing the movie on Thursday.
Yes, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Yep.
Also, a long way to say that I have flaked and was not able to watch the last 2 Avatar episodes.
How dare you?
I know.
That's fine.
So
we
tired.
watched them for you. It's fine.
Okay.
I say we. Denise, did you watch the episode?
I did watch them.
Okay. We watched the episodes for you, Aaron. It's fine.
Yay. Well, I'm going to run upstairs and get water really quick, and you guys can take it away.
All right.
Yeah. Let me pull up my notes here. I'm currently in the midst of movie commentary notes. So let me change it up here.
Good for you. I'll go ahead and read the IMDb description of the episode, as I want to do. Episode 5 in season 2 is called Avatar Day. Sokka and Katara have to solve a centuries-old crime when Aang is imprisoned for murder allegedly committed by one of his past incarnations. This was a dopey episode.
A little bit of a filler episode.
Yeah, it's one of those where, okay, I'll say the good things about this episode to start off with. One, it stars, speaking of everything everywhere all at once, it's the guest star of the episode was the venerable James Hong. Most of our audience will know him best as Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China. He is also in Everything Everywhere All at Once. He plays Michelle Yeoh's father. Not a spoiler. It's a hard movie to spoil because it's about.
Well, I mean, just try to describe it. We're just trying to describe it. It's.
I can't. I just tell people who's in it and tell them to go see it. I go, what's it about? Have you ever seen the video for Turn Down for What? And they're like, oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It turns out that that's actually like a very good primer for what you can expect if you're going to watch something from the Daniels.
The Daniels.
Did you get a chance to watch Swiss Army Man?
I haven't yet.
Okay. Well, we're not talking about that movie right now.
Yeah.
So you have time.
Yeah.
You really should watch it. I think you would appreciate it.
I will, and then we'll figure out how to, get the Daniels on, and it's fine.
Oh yeah, no big deal.
Press kit. We need a press kit. Amongst all those other things.
I'll get on it.
We sort of have one, don't we?
That's behind the curtain stuff.
Yeah, this is off-screen conversation.
Yeah.
James Hong plays the mayor of the village of Chin.
Yes.
And they hate the Avatar because they are under the understanding, there was a presumption that Avatar Kyoshi killed their leader. And so, all of these foibles ensue. Aang gets locked up. Sokka is having a little bit of an existential crisis because he lost his boomerang and now wants to find himself again under the identity of being a detective. And so he's being a real pain in the ass about figuring out what really happened here. But they do ultimately get the story. This was really frustrating to me, is they went and they found all of this really great evidence for why it actually couldn't have been Avatar Kyoshi.
Mm-hmm.
But then Aang is absolutely incapable of just repeating the information that he got from his friends as to why it's not his fault.
Because he largely doesn't pay attention to these things.
I guess I was just like, wait,
He is still a 12-year-old.
yeah, and not a very like you'd think that like with you're kind of in a shitty, like you're in a bad position here. You should probably take this more seriously.
In his defense,
He's 12.
that was like their entire trial system was also a sham.
Also,
It's
yes.
like it's only two
So,
people. It's the mayor who is the
judge,
prosecuting
jury.
attorney,
Yep.
and the judge, and then the defendant. And the defendant gets to tell their side, and then the judge, the mayor tells his side, and then
The
he
mayor
passes
decides.
judgment for himself. So it's like, well, that's not how anything works. Or
But
it
that
does.
also, but like that could have been like a much bigger. That could have been the lesson of this episode, is like, well, here's what happens when you decide to have unilateral authority over who's right and who's wrong here.
Mhm.
But no, it was just kind of a goofy episode.
Except for the B plot of Zuko.
Yes, the B plot is the best part.
And very distressing in that, like, we learn Zuko has been committing crimes in order to keep he and his uncle in some form of moderate poverty and kept them fed, and he's still of the mindset, it's like, these are the things I deserve, I'm just going to take them. And he's using his identity as the Blue Spirit, which we've seen before. And Iroh tries to talk to him about it, and he appears to listen, and he appears to take Iroh's words to heart. But his resolution from that is like, oh, you're right, you're 100% right, I understand about what you're talking about. That means I'm going to go on my own. We don't need to be together anymore. Bye.
I actually wrote down what Iroh said, because it's actually probably like the biggest speech he's made to date, in regards to like right versus wrong, and like in his efforts to mentor and like like the stewardship of his nephew, to go into a certain direction. This is like the most overtly he's ever really tried to steer that ship. And he says, like, in the darkest times, hope is something that you give yourself. That is the meaning of inner strength. He tells him not to give in to despair, because there's a slippery slope there that is gonna send him down the wrong path. And you're right. In the moment, Zuko really does seem to like absorb what Iroh is saying, and it seems like he's gonna stop mugging strangers for cash or nice belongings. But the next time we get back to those two characters, Zuko's like, we clearly see the world in different ways, so I need to just go off on my own now.
And that is very much in line with Zuko still thinks he's a piece of shit. Like, for as much ego and bravado that he presents to everyone else, he feels like he is completely worthless.
I didn't really read into it that way, but I think you're right.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I read it. I read it as you like, you have taken to robbing, like, you took your steed from someone who showed you kindness. It's like you have zero self-respect at present. And like everything that's happened to you just reinforces that being discarded by his father in the first place. He's like, I have no worth. So we aren't going to see this redemption arc for Zuko, spoilers, until he really hits rock bottom.
Right. Yeah, he still has a
And
way
he's-
to go. I know we touched on that last week, but he's still like, I think like in the episodes we covered last week, he kind of opened a door.
Mhm.
And now he has walked through it, and in that room is a bunch of bad shit that's gonna go down.
Yep. So yeah, I that was the more compelling story in this entire episode. Yes, unsurprisingly, the Avatar was not guilty of what the city claimed, because apparently this noble Chin person who had founded the village of Chin was actually a warlord that was trying to take over everything, much like the current Fire Lord Ozai.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyoshi like split land in two to separate people from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he got pissed about it and killed himself by falling off a cliff. Also, Avatar Kyoshi was fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like, that woman was 8.5 feet tall with size 17 feet. I don't think I ever realized that before. Like, Aang is
it
so
didn't really
tiny.
come up.
No, but you presume all of these people are just normal size. No, she made Amazons look tiny.
She's a giantess.
Yeah, she was.
One of my favorite words.
Mm-hmm. It's a good word.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. Like, I think she's even bigger than what was the firebending avatar just before Aang?
Something with an R.
Roku?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, Kyoshi was bigger
I just realized
than
why
Roku.
they call that device a Roku.
Why?
Yeah.
It must be an either like Japanese or Chinese word for fire. I'm assuming.
No, it is not.
No?
No. Kaji is Japanese for fire. I don't know what.
It's 6. It's the
Mhm.
number 6.
In Japanese.
Okay.
And it's called Roku because apparently Wood is the owner, and it's the 6th company he created.
Oh, it says it right there. 6th company that Wood created. Okay.
Who's
Yep.
Wood?
Anthony Wood, I guess.
The guy
Oh,
who
so-
invented Roku before selling it to Amazon.
So some other white dude using a Japanese word for something that he made.
Sorry, never.
Cool.
I was conflating the Roku device with the Amazon Fire
Stick. Yep. No, I've followed your logic. I knew where you were going with that.
Why are you letting me walk down all these like dumbass paths if you know what I'm doing wrong in the first place?
You're not doing anything wrong.
No.
Like, I followed your logic of why you were conflating those two items.
But you didn't tell me that. You were just like, we just kept going down that conversation, even though you knew the right answer all along.
I didn't know the right answer all along.
Anyway, chapter 6. We'll just like delete the last 3 minutes from this feed.
Chapter 6, you mean episode Roku.
I hate you.
Okay, so
Also, to make it even worse for you, being Amazon doesn't own Roku. They're still their own company.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. Is I was conflating the Roku.
Oh, okay.
With Amazon
with
Fire,
the Fire
Stick.
All right.
And then Roku, the fire avatar, the firebending avatar before Aang. His name is Roku. Firebending. See how they all.
I got it.
I was not paying attention, like what you did, Bean, I do that shit all the time. It's like, oh, it's this and this and this. Wait, those are 16 different things. What are you talking about?
But they can all technically be connected.
Yes, but that is the road that leads right to Red String Wall. with postcards all over it. That's when you're like, yeah, and you're Charlie Day in it all day long.
Yeah.
Well, now we know which direction I'm headed in.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, and I'll be there with you, or you'll come find me.
Some of us just already live there.
Mhm.
I get the impression that my
springboard's in my
doctor wants
head.
me to go on Adderall, but I can't.
Mm.
You can't?
Yeah.
Mm.
You can't take those types of stimulants if you are trying to become pregnant. So I just get to have bad brain. Or change my life plans in order to, get the right kind of medicine to fix my brain.
You can still join me. I go through these really fast. Look at all these posts. And they're the big ones too.
Episode 6, The Blind Bandit. This is actually one that I've been looking forward to. While looking for an earthbending teacher, Aang and his friends discover a young blind girl with secrets of her own. This is one of those characters that I knew was coming, and have been looking forward to her inclusion. This is Toph.
Yeah. So I didn't love this episode either, but it's obviously an important piece of the puzzle. They're building a brick wall, and Toph is one of those linchpin type pieces. Like she's going to be important. I can tell. She's
a brick in that wall.
Yeah.
To use your own metaphor.
I guess so. We're just going with that now. Sad trombone intensifies. Thanks, Norm. So the kids are in a new town and they hear about Master Yu's Earthbending Academy. The first lesson is free. Absolute scam artist. So they see that. They're like, this is not what we're looking for. So they decide to keep searching, but they overhear people talking about something called Earth Rumble 6. Which is basically, go ahead.
Oh, please finish your sentence.
I would say an underground fighting ring for earthbending, I guess.
It is. It's also pro wrestling. Like it is 100%. Yes. Like the lead character in this ring is called The Boulder and shares a lot of personality traits with one Dwayne Johnson. It's hilarious.
Did not make that connection.
Oh, you didn't?
Well, I was also split screening too. So, like, if you asked me to describe what that character looked like right now, I couldn't tell you. And if you mean specifically like his persona as a wrestler, I don't have anything there for you. So,
I've seen enough clips of The Rock to know the persona, and he was designed to look like Dwayne Johnson if Dwayne Johnson, grew a mustache and beard. But that was the whole joke. He was The Boulder.
I'm like sad that I didn't pick up on that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we watch him like trounce a bunch of other earthbenders wrestlers.
Yeah, he's basically like in every round of fighting, there is a very long montage of The Boulder kicking everyone's ass until they actually pull out their actual champion. That they got me on that one too. I was like, this is kind of single note. And then at the last fight, they're like, okay, and now it's time for our champion. I'm like, you mean that's not your best guy? Because it certainly seemed like it. See, maybe I would know these things if I'd ever watched a day of wrestling in my life, but
I mean, the majority of wrestling, I've watched a few clips. I've never watched a full episode. I've never been to a WWE match. I've learned more about wrestling from talking to people who love wrestling or interviews with Freddie Prinze Jr. or watching Glow. That's where most of my familiarity with
they're basically telenovelas, but with way more colorful costumes and fighting.
There you go.
But that type of drama is the storylines of almost all wrestling. So yeah. There you go.
Very well.
But yeah, they bring out Toph, and I think the thing that's significant about Toph is not just that she is blind. This is also the meta story behind this. This is also where we start to see. We've seen the animators draw very specific fighting styles from martial arts. Toph's style, if you watch it, is different than any of the other fighting styles we've seen. So it's an introduction of a new fighting style. And if I knew more about Kung Fu, I could tell you which style it is, but I don't.
I don't know a ton about any fighting styles really, but I do see that she has a very almost elegant way that she does her earth bending, and it's very much one of those I don't need to do a bunch of physical work to make this happen. A lot of other benders put their whole body into their movements, and it looks like exercise, but her movements are not only a lot more fluid and graceful, but also much more minimalist by comparison to what we've seen so far.
Right, it's the difference between wushu and Shaolin type of thing. I think that the very grandiose movements that we've seen the Fire Lords do is very wushu, I guess. It is definitely a very showier one. The waterbenders are very controlled. If we just go by Aang for airbenders, who the fuck knows? I think it's supposed to be more Tai Chi than anything else, but he rides around on a ball of compressed air. He's like, wee! But yeah,
he also does not have a lot of training.
No.
Right.
He does an airbending. Everything that he does, that's why he is very masterful if he's just using his airbending, because that's where all of his training is. And he's very good at that. He's incredibly good. That's why he can stand on his own against masters that are 2 to 3 times his age that have more experience. It's just all the other ones he's not a master of.
This conversation actually reminds me of a book series where there are much older, experienced, trained sorcerers, and then there's this young boy who only is just now learning that he has magic capabilities, and so they're trying to teach him how to use his magic, and they're you just have to think about it. It's a matter of will and and then the power, and then the thing that you want to happen happens. But he continues to have this instinct of doing a lot of physical motions to try to make things happen. They're you don't really have to do that. I mean, yeah, I might do a little this or whatever, but that's just to put a little stank on it. Really, the magic happens without the motion. So you're focusing on the wrong part of the activity in order to make your will do the thing.
The emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yes, precisely. So anyway, Toph.
We get more of her backstory of being the protected rich girl. She's from a wealthy family that they just focus on the fact that she's blind, and therefore she must be helpless. And,
classic.
Yep. Which this is again why the character is loud. It's impediments like this do not equate to helplessness. And that is an ableist philosophy, and it takes discussion, and it takes putting things like this into popular culture and media for other people, able-bodied people, to have those discussions and go, oh, maybe this is because someone is this, I should stop thinking this about them.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is Toph's entire storyline.
So yeah, I'm assuming that we're gonna get a lot of that moving forward. Like every time they encounter new people, like someone's gonna give her shit about it. As it is, like events happen, and we end up in a place where Toph now has to use her power. She goes up against like 7 grown-ass men, and her parents see the whole thing happen. And rather than recognizing, holy shit, you're fucking powerful as hell, and clearly you can take care of yourself, they double down, which really makes no sense unless you're a parent, I guess. I don't know, but like this means we have to like have you like watched 24/7 because this is dangerous.
I don't think that's in typical of parenting. I think it is typical of controlling parents. Like that's bad parenting. That's not. I don't think that's the reaction of every parent.
I only know that one kind of parent. So.
Oh, I see. Well, no, that's not. That is not. That's not great parenting.
It's not.
That is.
And it
100%,
doesn't make a lot of sense.
It makes sense from the standpoint of they are used to exercising massive amounts of control, which is also part of they're rich. So they want to be in control of things. They cannot control her, and that was exactly what the father saw while watching her fight. It's like, I've never had control of this kid ever.
So it's
no
a panic.
Point.
It's a panic reaction. That
Yeah,
makes a lot of sense for sure.
Yeah, it's still the wrong call. It is an awful thing to do, and there are far too many awful adults in this show. But again, it's a show for kids, so of course that's going to be a lot of the messaging is like, sometimes your parents are wrong, because sometimes your parents are wrong.
And we know
where was this show 30 years ago for me?
Do not get me started. We know that
we had Johnny Quest, dude.
I didn't have cable, so I didn't have that either. Wah, wah,
you
wah.
have cable now.
That
I had to think for a minute, like, no, we don't. We use streaming, and then
So I
was tired.
I was having a discussion with a co-worker this week where I made a cable joke, and she just looked at me for the longest time and went, I just got it. It's because I see those as 2 different words in my head, because I actually know how your name is spelled. So I was like, didn't even click. It took me too long.
Like a barrier between the 2 words mentally.
It's like
that's
that.
Kind of what my brain did. And also my brain remembered that the last time you were compared to the spelling of cable, it was by Rob Liefeld, and you were struggling to not punch him for doing that.
I was never going to punch him. The plan was always kick him in the shins.
Oh.
It was never punch. I was never going to punch anyone. I just want to be clear about what the path of my violence.
Okay, that's fair. I apologize for.
Yeah, I just remember his response was just, "Cool name." Yes, thanks. You didn't come up with it, jackass. Someone didn't see Johnny Quest until their 20s. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I was in my 20s when I saw it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I am older, so I guess that's
it. Yeah, I know it was network when it was live, but I didn't see it live. And then I literally never had cable, and by the time I moved out of town is right when my mom had gotten a satellite, had a direct dish. So I grew up with 4 networks, counting public broadcasting, and then Fox towards the tail end.
Yeah, I had CBS, ABC, NBC.
Yep.
in public broadcasting.
Yep.
I feel like one of those had like played Johnny Quest and all the other Hanna-Barbera stuff in syndication, because it wasn't on Saturday mornings with the rest of the cartoons. It was on like Sundays for like,
It must have been a local network then.
yeah, it was that Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Herculoids, I think Samson and Goliath. That was the weirdo fucking lineup from Hanna-Barbera.
I only understood half of that.
Yeah, see? Well, I mean, again, I'm old.
Yeah. Well,
This happens more and more these days. I'm like, when this happened, it's like, dude, I was 2. Like, fuck off. Okay.
okay.
Well, where were we?
That was a weird trip down Hanna-Barbera Lane. So, like, I think we've kind of gone over both of the episodes. What did you think of the introduction of Toph and where the complications that clearly her presence is going to bring?
I feel like she's going to annoy me because she just has a personality of like always being on the offensive. Like she's used to getting people giving her shit about being blind. She's got a bit of an ego because she is a fucking kick-ass fighter.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a chip on her shoulder about her controlling parents. And she just really doesn't seem like the kind of person. Her personality does not seem like it's going to vibe with the rest of the gang because they've already like bonded, they're friends. They mostly always agree to help the people around them. And what we saw when Aang wanted her help with trading, she's like, nah, man, that's not my problem. I'm out of here. Fuck off. So I feel like they're going to butt heads a lot in the beginning, at least, and that's going to get old fast because I'm not a child.
Interesting. I'm interested to see if that's going to be true. I don't believe it is. I don't believe that that's.
I mean, I will say that I'm relying on tropes here because that's usually what you get. But it would not be the first time that this show proves me wrong.
I do know that the character of Toph continues on in The Legend of Korra.
I thought she looked familiar, and not just because she happens to be the girl that Aang saw in his swamp visions.
Right. Toph is in Legends of Korra, as is Aang. Like, but they're both old.
Mm.
Oof. And now I say old, and I'm like, they're probably like 60. So, like, old is relative.
Right.
Hang on. Now I'm a bit confused.
Uh-oh.
Because Korra is also supposed to be an avatar.
I think so.
I don't know anything about Korra yet.
The Legend of Korra is the sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right. I just mean the character.
As far as she's a waterbender. And
she's from Southern Water Tribe, and I think she's actually meant to be the successor of Aang.
But they're both alive at the same time.
So that can't be it.
Which I like. That's why I'm like, how do you become the Avatar if the other Avatar hasn't died yet? Because you're supposed to be a reincarnation. That's not how reincarnation works.
I'm sure there is an explanation, or like we have been misinformed about what the connection is between those characters. I don't want to look into it right now though, because I don't want it to spoil anything for me, and I don't want to get sidetracked from where we are now, which is only just season 2.
Yeah, we've just had the chat confirm it's 70 years after this, so that would make Aang 82,
Right?
82, 84. And that yes, Korra is supposed to be the next Avatar.
Yeah. So, interesting enough, I have watched all of The Legend of Korra. I know. Which I loved.
That's funny.
I know. Hey, it's just like how I watched all the Evil Dead movies originally in reverse. I watched Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2, and then Evil Dead, which is a
Yeah.
really weird way to experience those movies.
Mm-hmm. That's
Anyway.
track. Maybe it's like that with the Pope who retired. That's not how any of that works. Okay.
No.
So anyway, yeah, Toph. There's still like I'm still really looking forward to. There's an episode in season 3 towards the end that is a huge comedic break right before everything goes to shit. That like I've seen it play out before. Like we've had it on at the store, and I've just looked up and gone, "Is what's happening on screen what I think it is?" And people have, who've seen the show are like, "Oh yeah, it's totally that." I'm like, that is the most ridiculous thing that this show could do. I can't wait to get to that episode. It's hilarious.
Interesting.
Yep. I think I mentioned that during season 1, but yeah, it's gonna be funny.
I do want to say, because I don't think that we've really outlined this yet, is that like this show does, officially have my attention and appreciation now. It was hard to get into it first, but
yeah, I agree. I'm invested in it now, but I definitely like nothing has been done to address any of the problems that I've had of it.
right.
It's like, yeah, like especially that episode with like it's like the village of Chin. And it's like, oh yeah, Lord Chin did this, and Lord Chin was actually an evil warlord that tried to take over all of the land. I'm like, so that's not a very thinly veiled analogy to China, jackasses. Since that's why it's called China, is because of the Qin dynasty.
Right.
Like wait a minute. Yeah, I it still weirds me out.
But again, it thinly veiled is usually veiled enough for, if your audience is below a
10?
certain age.
Sure. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, you gotta give them something.
They gave him 3 seasons.
No,
Sorry.
Damn it.
Oof. I think that's plenty for a show.
That is.
I think
more
so.
than
Yeah.
enough. We are
Well-
officially over time, friends.
Thanks again to Bill Oakley for popping on and chatting with us.
Yeah.
Go check out the Steam Hams Society.
Yes. And I just forwarded you guys some information. We are starting to get some movie suggestions for commentaries. So
Yeah.
I saw that.
yeah. So there's more on the Geek in the City Radio Facebook page. I just saw.
Oh, there's
posted
another
a whole
one.
bunch.
Oh, super.
So, yeah.
I'll start, or I will continue collecting those. I've got a little pile of notes
Cool.
for all that.
Yeah, next week I think we're gonna do a review of Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Which we may end up spending a long time on that one, so I don't know. Yeah, it'll be good. Super pumped.
It is so much. Again, I cannot stress to our listeners enough. Go watch it. Just go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not comfortable going to movie theaters, I get it. Don't do something that you're uncomfortable doing.
But if you're like, yeah, I might go see that, or that looks interesting, do it.
Yeah.
If you're like, I can sit in a movie theater with a mask on for another 2.5 hours, sure, you betcha. Go pee first. I didn't.
Yes, you're not gonna want to leave.
Oh man, my bladder hated me because
I
like
knew
half,
I knew I wasn't going to want to get up at any point during the movie, so that was like the very last thing I did.
yeah, half an hour into the movie, I went, oh man, I should have peed.
Oh
And then
no!
an hour later, I'm like, I really should have peed. It was uncomfortable, but I
All right.
made it.
That's good for me to know going in.
Yeah,
I
go
won't have
pee.
any water for hours ahead of time either.
Pee first.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I think I had like 2 cups of coffee.
ooh, no, that's the worst. Well, on that note, I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Painterita.
And I'm Cable Hashitani.
We will talk to everybody next week. Bye. Finger guns it. Nice. Or